Hello everyone, in this video I will share with you one of my new favorite open source e-commerce platforms. It is called Mercur and it is a multi-vendor marketplace platform. It is built on top of a MedusaJS core, which I think is a really great choice. I have already quite some experience with Medusa, and Medusa is great for building custom e-commerce projects. I've used it mostly for web shops, but I've seen other people build online food delivery systems, business to business solution, a lot of different things. But Mercur kind of proves that it is fully customizable because they have taken it one step further and added multi-vendor capabilities. So think something like Etsy or Amazon or eBay, a marketplace where a lot of different sellers are offering products, but the customer ultimately finds and browse all the products from one web interface and doesn't necessarily see that they come from different vendors. In this video, I'm going to give you a full demo of the whole system. So the customer experience, the seller experience, and the super admin experience. And after that, I'll also show you how you can deploy the entire stack very easily in the cloud. I've made that easy. So you can test it out for yourself because I'm not going to go over all the features in this video. It is a very complex system, so I can't show all the features of it. Additionally, they have here their own little YouTube channel, Mercur, where you can see also some very short videos with different kinds of features that they build into it. Like this one, for example, is a chat integration. So the customers can chat directly with the vendors. I'm not going to be showing you that. But there's a few other videos showing different kinds of features. So you can also check that out here. But the funny thing is that if we go back here and just search for MercurJS, there is no videos at all on YouTube from other than themselves. So I'll get the honor of being the first one to cover the whole Mercur experience and also how to deploy it. If we look at their GitHub, just for some reference here, it does have more than 1,000 stars. So among developers, it is already quite popular. It is also quite new, only been out for like a year, I think. But why not just dive into it right now and start with the whole demo? I have it running in the cloud right here on Railway. And this already looks a little bit complicated because it does contain a few different modules to it. But the most interesting one is the backend right here. As I said, it is a Medusa core, but then there is some extensions built into it. And these are made by Mercur. And they are the ones that modify the data model to add multi-vendor capabilities. So it's not just one seller entity, but there can be as many as possible. And that also shows with the different interfaces up here. We have the marketplace one, which is where all the customers will be headed. And this one is like an example shop. So this is branded as a fashion or clothing website, but you could either customize it to brand it differently or simply replace it with your own webshop that you would build from scratch. Then we have the vendor dashboard. This is where individual vendors will log in to set up their products and shipping rules and product images, all that kind of stuff. And then we have the super admin dashboard, which is like the platform owner. So as the super admin, that would be me. I'm the one owning the whole system right here. I'm the one deciding how to brand the storefront. I'm the one deciding who can sell. So I'll also show you what the sign-up process for a vendor is in just a bit. And then we'll see that also the administrator have to approve that request. But let's just start with the customer experience here. So if we go to the marketplace here, and open that one up in a new tab, we can go over and see it right here. And as you can see, this is like a fashion shop. And I set up two different sellers for the sake of this demo and two demo products. So we have the Storm Stompers right here. Let's go into the product page. And these are out of stock because I didn't set up any inventory for this seller. Seller is the rubber shop. We also have some product description for the product itself right here. We go to the other one, the umbrella here. This one, I did set up a warehouse and added some to the stock, so we can actually add it to cart here, and then we could go through the checkout flow. One more thing you'll notice is that there is a sell now button here, and that is exactly what it sounds like. So if you have some clothing that you would like to start selling on this platform here, you could click here and sign up as a vendor. Go back to Railway. That button click would take us exactly to this URL right here, the vendor dashboard. So let's do that. I'll go over here. And we see we're now on a login page, but I don't have my credentials yet. So I'm going to create a new account. And it will be the jacket shop because we follow the theme of rain clothing here. And that would be Jack. All right, click sign up and it says thank you for registering, but we cannot log in just yet. As I told you, we need first approval from the administrator. So let's head back to Railway right here. And now I log into my super admin dashboard and I'm gonna need some credentials for that, and they can be found here in the variables of the backend, because when this one was deployed, it created an admin user already and it used this value right here. So I copy the password to clipboard and then I go over here and open up the admin interface, and it looks very much like the vendor one, but it is slightly different. So yeah, and I know the email is admin@youremail.com. Login, and we can see here no orders yet. You can see the sellers. There is the rubber shop and the rain shields. They were the ones I set up already. And then here in request, we now have the jacket shop and it is pending. So this one cannot log in yet. But if we go in here, we can now let this guy in. So I'll say accept and we'll just say welcome. All right, that is all. Now the jacket shop is also able to sell. So we can go back to the login page here on the vendor dashboard and use Jack. And the password, very secure password here. And this is what it looks like when you log in for the first time as a vendor. You'll be going through a little store setup wizard here, but I'm gonna skip over that because that will make this video very long if I'm gonna do all that. I'll just create a product really quickly over here. And I have some product description from ChatGPT, so I didn't have to write it myself. Put it in a title here, and it is a rain jacket. And we also have a description here. And then we're gonna upload I think this is the one. Let's see if this is the rain jacket. Nope, that was the rain boots. I'll delete these again. And it must be this one. Yeah, beautiful yellow rain jackets. I'll continue. And I'm not gonna fill out all this because again, that would take a very long time. Let's put a price. I think 25 is very cheap, but why not? Create the product. And oh, it looks like the media wasn't uploaded. Probably because I first uploaded one and then deleted one again. Let's try again here. Yeah, and let's click save. Yeah, and now the rain jacket was uploaded. Let's just verify that this is also a thumbnail. I don't think it is, so let's go in here and click here and make thumbnail. So now it is a thumbnail. All right, we set up product. If this should be possible for customers to add to the cart, then I would first have to set up inventory, and that takes a little bit of time. There is no in stock right here. In order to do that, you have to go into your location, and then you have to create a location, create a warehouse, say which countries you ship to, set up shipping rules, and then once you have that, then you can go back to the product, and then you can edit the inventory here. You can add it to this location, and then you can say there is items in the shopping cart. I'm not going to do that because it does take some time. Instead, I'll just go right here back to the marketplace and show that we now have this jacket here. Yeah, so see, we now have 3 different sellers here. If we go in here, we have the jacket shop with the rain jacket, and we have the rain shields, umbrella, and the rubber shop. This concludes the demonstration. It is a very basic demonstration, I know, of the whole system, but this is to give you an idea of what it is capable of, like the core principles of Mercur, all the different main entities such as the administrator, the vendors, and here the customer experience. If you want to customize the storefront here, what you need to do is to eject all this from the source repo, and then you'll get your own clone of the source code, and then you can start customizing it. So you'll need developer experience to do that, or you'll have to use AI coding assistant to do it, or simply hire a developer to do it. It is not like a CMS like Wix or Squarespace or something like that, where you can just drag and drop and have nice color palettes that you can change colors and move pictures around with drag and drop. It is source code based, so you have to understand a little bit how to develop with it, or hire someone that can do it. All right, so I also promised that I would show you how you can get all this, because I automated the whole setup of all these items. You don't have to connect all these by yourself and deploy them individually. I created a template that makes that very easy to do. I have this blog article. It's actually just a preview right now because it's not really finished, but if I just scroll past it, you'll see here it's also a little bit of a text explanation of all the different parts of Mercur. And then I have right here the deploy on Railway. And maybe one thing I should mention before we go ahead with that. So there's a few more components that you just see in the Railway dashboard, and that is one of them is the Algolia search engine API key, and the application kind of requires a search engine to browse all the products. Let me see. Yeah, this one here. This requires a search engine to browse products in a proper way, and they decided, Mercur, to go with Algolia. So this is the company, and you need to create a user here, and then you'll get an API key, and there is free usage for like 10,000 searches per month or something like that. And then I think, let's see the pricing here. It is pretty reasonable. Yeah, free or pay as you go. But for my testing, I've only been making a few searches, and that was fine. So you'll have to sign up with Algolia here, and then you get an API key. I do show here in a screenshot exactly where you copy that API key from. The other part is Stripe for payment. So if you want to charge customers with credit cards, you'll need to set up Stripe. And for emailing, automated email like product confirmation, purchase confirmation, then you'll have to set up Resend. But these two can be added later. So for the sake of just testing, you just need to get the Algolia search API key. And then when you have that, you're ready to deploy. So we can click this deploy on Railway, and it will take you to the template overview. Then you just click deploy, and you will expand this one, the marketplace, and you'll have to paste in your Algolia key. So I will just take those that I already have. So let me just put split view here. I already have those. So my application ID is this one. And my search key is this one. And I'm not going to add Stripe. As I said, we can do that later. So not necessary for testing. Then the backend also needs the search engine. So we need the application ID again. And then we need a different API key because the backend is writing. It's doing all the indexing. So it's like an admin kind of key. So it will be found here. This one. It's like a secret master key. Save configuration. That's all. Then I can close this one again. Yeah, now we're back here. And I'll click deploy. And now we start deploying all the things. And as I said, it's automated, so there is no manual work for you to do. One thing that I should mention is that when you sign up for Railway, if you don't already have an account, it is recommended that you connect it with a GitHub account. So create a GitHub account if you don't have that. GitHub. And this is required because you need to eject from the main repository on Railway. So this one is pointing to my repository, and you need later, when you want to start customizing, you need to get a clone for yourself. Then you just click this eject button, and then because your account is connected with your GitHub account, it will just create a fork of this repository to you. And when you start making changes to that, this one or this one or this one or this one, they will all start deploying automatically. The deploy process right here takes a lot of time because of all the different things that needs to deploy. And some of them are depending on a deploy order. So for example, the marketplace, I believe, cannot finish building before the backend is online because it's using the API during deploy to fetch some product information data. So this does take quite some time. I would say probably 10 to 15 minutes. Another somewhat important detail is that the free user on Railway, they kind of changed the rules for the free user. So sometimes you'll be able to deploy large projects with the free user, and other times then they change the rules a little bit. So you have some credit or some service hours. Sometimes it's a number of services, but usually this type of project is too large to run from a free user. So you need at least the hobby plan. With the hobby plan, you can deploy. If you go back and see my dashboard here, I have a lot of different projects right here. I have another Mercur here. I also have some cloud storage project running here. I have N8N version 2, and I'm running all this just from a hobby user. That is $5 per month. But obviously, you also pay for usage. So if you exceed those $5 in service cost, then you'll start paying more. So if you get a lot of traffic in your web shop, you'll also be using more resources, and then you'll have to start paying more. But it is not so bad. You can see here, if I go into the settings for this one, usage, it has been running for a long time. And by the end of the month, I'll be paying a total of $9 for hosting a database, a Redis instance, a file storage system, a front-end application for the file storage, a backend system, a storefront marketplace, and 2 dashboard applications. All that with separate URLs just for $9 with little traffic, of course. Let's go back to the one that's building and see how it is doing. And we see the admin dashboard is online and the vendor dashboard is also online, but because the backend is still building, we wouldn't be able to log in to any of these because they use the backend API to do that. So the front-end application itself is done, but we cannot really use them before this is done. So I'll pause the video and unpause as soon as all this is done. All right, it took a little bit less than 10 minutes, but eventually we got there. We now have everything deployed. I'm going to close down all the other tabs I had right here. And now just to verify that everything works, I'll just open up the storefront here from the freshly deployed project and see that it looks like the other one, but of course it doesn't have any of the products that I added. All right, so if you need to make customizations to that, as I told you, the way you do it is that you click the eject button here, and it should show your GitHub username right here because you connected the account. So click this one and then eject service, and then this will take a little while. All right, there it is. I now have my own fork right here. So you can see this one is initializing. It started a new build right over here from the new repository. And if you click on this one, you'll go and have your own personal fork of the repository. These are all the different applications: the storefront, vendor panel, the backend, the admin panel. And this one is the one that you probably want to make the most changes to. So this one you customize for a new branding of your marketplace. And as soon as you commit and push these changes on Railway, they will start the deploy pipeline right here, and your changes will become live. I'm going to conclude this video right here. I hope that you'll give Mercur a try, especially if you are going to explore e-commerce custom multi-vendor marketplace. I think it's pretty crazy that you can get started with all this out of the box and everything is fully customizable for free. Of course, the hosting will cost something, but you don't have to pay any license. It's fully open source. If you have any questions about anything, then on your fork right here, there is a link to where you can ask questions. You're more than welcome to ask questions in the video comments. But if you need to upload screenshots or have more complicated questions that require some discussion, I urge you to go over to this page right here. It's like a discussion forum, and you can ask questions about this deploy template, and I'll try to answer them and help you out. All right, that's going to be all for now. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.